Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's session. As you know, these group coachings we like to do on a very, very regular basis. And at the moment, we're doing them weekly for you. So it's fantastic. And I've got a little bit of content that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight on really your avatar, in other words, your target client. And then, of course, the second one is going to be how to get referrals. So whether you're live on the call today or whether you are going to listen to this in retrospect, it's going to be some fantastic information for you to help grow your business as well. So let me just start by sharing the screen here, and we're going to get right underway. So here we go. Okay. So I'll check in with you from time to time and see if we've got any questions there. But hope you like the little diagram to kick this sucker off. Avatars and referrals. There's our two powerful avatars for today's talk. The key to this is something called the demographic versus the psychographic. And we're going to get into explaining exactly what those two words are. But really finding your perfect ideal client is sort of a combination between both of them, 40% demographic and 60% psychographic. And so as we get to understand these a little bit more, you are definitely going to know which of these you should be implementing yourself. And the answer is both. So a demographic, I think you understand pretty well. It's certain categories that you can list clients in. You can list them with their age, 25, 35, 35 to 45. By occupation, they're a plumber, they're a builder, they're an accountant, or maybe by industry, the financial services industry, the real estate industry, and so on and so forth. By income level, 0 to 50,000, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, and so on. By their interests. And I just want to comment about this one. So they might be interested in rugby, they might be interested in dancing, they might be interested in music. And the comment I want to make on that is some people think that their interests become part of their psychology. No, it's actually classified under their demographic. And then their business goals. And what I mean by that is maybe it's turnover. Are they $1 million turnover, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million? Do they want to expand into Asia or around the world? Or what are their general business goals? And perhaps their marital and family status. Now, this demographic isn't so much just these things. It can be a combination or all or more things that are very relevant for you. I learned this first many, many years ago. I was in the financial services industry and I was a financial planner. And I was told to do an exercise, which I'm actually going to share with you on this particular call. And that exercise showed me that the demographic of the people that I was dealing with at that time were age 35 to 45. They were in business, self-employed. They were in the service industry. All of them were married. All of them had children. All of them were interested in sport. And all of them had turnovers in excess of $500,000 at that stage, which was probably about $1.5 million in today's money. So I had a very clear demographic of the people that I dealt with, and therefore, guess what? They hang out with other people that sit inside that particular demographic as well. So let's now have a look at a psychographic. A psychographic is why they do what they do. And that's their significant motivation. Now, I know the picture's pretty ugly, but let's face it, this is the thing. Some people operate totally differently and are motivated by total different things than other people, yet they look identical. In this case, they're wearing the same jackets, they're dressed the same, they're probably even a couple, but they come from two totally different sides of the fence. Now, if you understand psychographics, you're going to have a lot stronger connection with building the right style of clients. So it's okay to have demographics. It's okay to say, well, most of my clients are between 35 and 45. but why do they do what they do? And in this case, I'm not necessarily talking about why they're a motor mechanic or why they're an accountant. I'm talking about why do they purchase the way they purchase? Why do they get motivated by what they get motivated by? In other words, what is their significant motivation? If you can understand this about your audience and about your buyers, then you will absolutely be able to just wheel in one after the other the people in the right psychographic. So it's a combination, as I said before, of demographic and psychographic, with about 60% in understanding their significant motivation of why they bought from you and why they do what they do. So how they make decisions for a specific demographic that is your demographic. So I'm going to give you an example of this so that you understand it. Let's stick with financial services because that's something that I understand pretty well, and I think most people on the call understand that a lot more than possibly coaching even. The significant motivation for people buying insurances is probably, let's say one of them, in your case, may be that they simply want to feel good about themselves, that they've done something for the family. That's a very different motivation than wanting to protect the family, because that's a motivation of, oh, I have to protect my loved ones. Whereas what I'm talking about is a motivation of people are buying from you because they actually want to prove to other people that they are the right type of people that will protect their family. Now, if those people then, if you can isolate that down, that those people are 35 to 45, in business for themselves or some other type of demographical thing, and they love going to rallies or sporting events like these two, then you've got a very, very specific avatar that you're chasing. Now, most people who are broke chase a broad avatar for their business. Most people who are very wealthy chase a very specific avatar. Why? Because they know that if they get these people in front of them, they're going to have much more opportunity to close those sales, and they know they can close those sales. Whereas the broad brush person is going to take anybody, meaning taking all of their problems, and it becomes the 80-20 rule. It becomes, 80% of your revenue is created by 20% of your clients, and those 20% will have a very, very similar psychographic and demographic. So the more that you understand this and the more that you can cut and paste this around and understand your client, the better you'll be. So, for example, with our client base, the demographic is fairly easy. They're entrepreneurs, 95% of them. They're generally between the ages of 35 and 60, with a leaning towards the 45 to 52 mark. But here's the psychographic that's the interesting one. We don't appeal to people who are not conscious, who are not purpose-driven. So our psychographic is purpose-driven, conscious people. So therefore, the place we don't want to hang out is in the ordinary business market. We want to hang out where the conscious people are, because they're the people that we definitely appeal to. So that's psychographic and demographic. And the way in which you start this is you start by profiling the people or the businesses that you've made the most money easily from. So go and have a look at your last 100 clients if you have them. If you don't have 100 clients, look at your last 50 or your last 20. And start to look at and particularly the ones you've made the most money from. So if you can do those numbers, and hopefully you can, because you should be keeping this statistical data, then you can simply go and look at these people and start to look at the trends in demographics and the trends in psychographics between them. And then you'll start to realize that there is some things that come between. And now, back in the day I was financial planning, I wasn't smart enough, or I didn't understand psychographic. I was purely going on demographic. But I was always surprised by the fact that every single one of my well-paying, no hassle clients that I loved were all interested in sport, all had a business in the service industry, and were all married with children when I was single. So from that aspect, it didn't necessarily make sense to me, but I just started talking to more and more of those people, and I got my sales results down to 11 calls, 11 appointments, 10 sales. So I almost never missed a sale because I was dealing with the right people, and those sales were at a very high level, which was part of my early success in life. And if those of you that know my personal story know that I did make a lot of money in my early to mid 20s, and this is how I did it. So it was by profiling the people or the businesses through the absolute stuff I've just told you. And if I was doing that again in that industry or any other industry, I'd be focusing on psychographic. And that's what we focus on in our business, Rock Your Life Now. Because they're the people, those top 20 or so clients that you've got that fit that psychographic and demographic match. And not all of them will, but most of them will start to form some sort of pattern. They're the first of those that you actually go to ask for referrals. Why would you go anywhere else? Because like hangs out with like. So if I want to talk to an entrepreneur who's conscious, where are they likely to hang out? With other entrepreneurs that are conscious, or with a bunch of people who simply want to make dollars and to hell with the world and sustainability and everything like that? No, they're going to hang out with the conscious people. So they're the ones you're going to go to and ask for referrals, the people who are in the demographic and psychographic match from your top clients. So what's the key to being great at referrals? Well, there's a few things here, and as I say down below, never give a gorilla a soccer ball. In other words, don't let people try and work this stuff out for themselves. And this is the biggest mistake that I think that people make with getting referrals. They try and get the person that they're asking referrals from to make all the decisions for them, whereas there's a much simpler way. The first way is to be honest, right? So here's a little statement, something like, I would like to ask you for referrals because I get to work with people that are recommended in that way, and that way I also don't waste my time. So could you help me out? I mean, how honest could you be of a reason why you actually want referrals rather than doing cold calling or Facebook marketing or anything like that? Because you want to work with people that are recommended and you don't want to waste time. People respect that, and people will help you if you ask. Then give them the demographic and ask for a list of 10 which fit the psychographic. Now, that'll take some explaining. So therefore, here is a very simple referral pitch. So thank you for your business. I wanted to ask you for some referrals, and there are really two reasons why I want to do that. Number one is because when I get referrals, I get to work with people that are recommended, which is much more fun and cool. And secondly, I simply don't waste precious time that I could be giving to clients by doing Facebook ads and all this other stuff that other people do. Can you help me? Yes, I can. Great. Okay. So let me tell you the people who I work best with. Those people are, and I'm going to give you a demographic here, 35 to 45. They're in their own business. They're very health conscious and concerned about their family's health. Maybe you could just start by telling me some names of people who fit that type of list. Okay. And then when people get stuck, you could ask them. They get stuck after one or two, say, why don't you flip out your iPhone and have a look at your contact list? Why don't you flip out your iPhone and have a look at your recent calls? That could help. Right? People will go, oh, that's a good idea. They don't go, oh, how dare you tell me to do that? No, they say, oh, that's a good idea. Then once you've got a list, and the reason why I say 10 is because you're not going to use all of them. Once you've got a list of 7, 8, 10, and the conversation with the person is starting to get to the point where they go, where you're feeling, I probably shouldn't ask for anything else. Then you're going to say, can you just run your eye down this list and tell me which of these people, and then you use your psychographic. So I would do that, and I'd say, just run your eye down this list of already relatively successful entrepreneurs and tell me which of these people are conscious and concerned about the future. That's what I do. And that way I'm going to get those people. It might be 3 out of 10, it might be 5, it might be 7. If you're lucky, it could be all 10. And that's the way you're going to get high quality referrals. So you never give a gorilla a soccer ball because they don't know what to do with it. They're probably going to eat it. And you never say to somebody, can you refer me to some people you know? Because then you're out there just like the gorilla trying to work it out. So let's move on. More keys to being great at referrals. Show your client the way in which you're going to contact these referrals. In other words, give them clarity. The way in which I like to do that is I actually say, hey, here's the email I'm going to send them. Can you have a look at that and make sure you're okay with it? Why would you do that? Because it gives them clarity and makes them feel comfortable with the process and that you're a professional. Then, secondly, you ask that client for a personal introduction. So could you give me a personal introduction? It could be as simple as, hey, Bob, it's John here. I just wanted to introduce Mike to you. His email's below mine. Have a great day, right? And then you could actually send your email with your subject line being personal note from your friend, John, or whatever name I used. Okay, next one is ring your client before you meet with the referral and get a live handover on the phone. This is called transference and it works. It's a genius thing. So you're walking into the cafe to meet this client. By the way, never have meetings in cafes. Have meetings in 5-star hotels unless you want to prove that you're a cafe service type of person. Especially your first meeting. You can move to cafes once you've got the client. If it's simpler and easier for both of you, but first impressions last. So this is what you do. You're walking into your 5-star hotel, you ring your client who you've briefed that you're going to do this at 10 o'clock your meeting time, and you say, hi, John, it's Mike here. I'm meeting with Bill now. I'm just going to walk in here. I wonder if I can just hand the phone over to Bill and just get you to introduce him. So you walk over, Bill's there, you shake his hand, you've got the phone in your hand, you say, I'm actually just talking to John at the moment. Here, have a quick word with him. And that's the first thing you say. And then you pass the phone to Bill, your referee, and John's going to say something like, and if you brief him, he'll definitely say it, hey, Bill, great to talk to you. I know you're there meeting Mike. He's a really good guy. He's really helped me. And hey, have a listen. Yeah, we should catch up for a beer or whatever sometime. That's going to work really well for you. And then the final part of that is always, always, always report back to your client. Now, I'm not saying report back and say, hey, listen, I did $10,000 worth of business or anything like that, but report back and say things like the meeting went well, we're investigating things, or actually Bill's going to come on board as a client and I really want to thank you, and reward your existing client somehow. You don't have to give them money. It could be tickets to the movies. It could be loyalty cards. It could be anything. You work it out for your business and what works for you, but give them some sort of reward and recognition. By reporting back, you're giving them recognition for sure, and then maybe some reward, tickets to dinner if it's a big enough sales, bottle of scotch if that's what they like, bottle of wine, anything like that, anything that serves them. Okay, so with that, we've pretty much done all of the screen sharing I'm going to do today. So if anybody has any questions, let's fire some questions at me.